Well, this is a Fox News alert. 6 o'clock in New York City, 6 o'clock in Washington, D.C. And apparently the Justice Department, according to Fox News sources, has actually refocused the John Durham investigation from an inquiry into a criminal investigation, which could be very bad news for anybody involved in this who may have broken the law or told a lie.
Emily's in for Ainsley today. So, Emily, what does this mean to you when this came across last night?
Because you're
with
an
your
attorney,
legal background?
Right, yeah. So we don't quite know the specifics. We know that Durham always had the power to convene a grand jury and to bring charges, criminal charges, if he wanted. So what we don't know is if there has been a criminal grand jury convened yet, or if this is simply representing a shift in the nature of the investigation. Either way, it's appropriate that, from what we're hearing, CIA officials have retained criminal representation at this point.
We did know that Fox News has learned that Durham is very interested in questioning the former director of national intelligence. He always looks confused. Perhaps this confuses him as well. James Clapper and the former CIA director John Brennan are perpetually angry that Donald Trump is president. Let's see if there's a reason behind it.
Simultaneously, we got a news bulletin yesterday, late in the day, that apparently the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, Michael Horowitz, announced that his upcoming report will be released very, very shortly, and it's going to actually shed, we understand, some light on why why this has turned into a criminal investigation. So, in other words, while the Inspector General can lay out the case against members of the Department of Justice, so what we're really talking about is the Department of Justice is investigating the Department of Justice. His case will be whether or not people should be charged.
Right, and think about it as what the appropriate sort of jurisdiction are the arms, right? So when you talk about a criminal investigation, the IG never had the power to compel witness testimony, to subpoena
anybody.
Exactly, especially those that were former employees, right? Durham, as we know, had a much broader reach.
James Comey couldn't really bring him in, force him in, until now.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting. The IG report was submitted in September to the FBI to look through to make sure it could be redacted when necessary, not giving any intelligence information out or means or procedures. They have yet to get back. I believe October is coming to a close. I wonder why that is. Meanwhile, the New York Times says this. Some CIA officials have retained criminal lawyers in anticipation of being interviewed. I guess they know what they did. It was not clear whether Mr. Durham was scrutinizing other top intelligence officials. That's kind of, overall, this whole thing bothers me so much. If you're named in the Trump investigation, in the Mueller investigation, they say a minimum, as soon as you're named, you have to lay off a minimum $50,000 for any decent attorney. And they don't make that much money in most cases. And then in these cases, the CIA, they're not making $1 zillion, and they got to yell out.
But Brian, think about it. So no names have come out yet, and yet some people in these departments are already hiring lawyers. Why would that be? Feeling a little guilty, or have they heard from people behind the scenes that there is some interest in their testimony? Dan Bongino, who knows a lot about this, has written a book on it. Says there's somebody in particular who's probably not feeling very good this Friday morning.
Brennan's freaking out with his adult Depends right now because he realized he's on record lying the entire time. He was the founder of the Feast in this whole thing. I believe he even lied to FBI agents about where he was getting this information from. He constructed a parallel construction operation to get the FBI to investigate a guy he had no law enforcement powers to operate against. The facts are clear as day on this. Even the FBI, Lisa Page, the lawyer, in sworn testimony to Mark Meadows answering a question, seems floored at the idea that Brennan and his CIA may have been talking to Steele before that. They are freaking out right now, and Durham's doubling down, and good for them.
And not to get you too confused, just know this. Barr and Durham went over to Italy, have been in contact with Australia to see their role in this whole lead-up in the early months after Donald Trump won the election. And evidently they heard some tapes of Papadopoulos, George Papadopoulos, interacting with the
side. The orange gives us the mid-tone, and then the deeper I carve in, you get that soft glow. Same thing with the real pumpkin as these foam ones.
Is a real important part of this. I mean, what I've learned over the years from doing this a million times is that you really want to draw out exactly what you want. Take your time on that part, and then cut. I mean, you got to really take your time, and you got to make the holes, like the eye holes and stuff like that, have to be big enough so that it's like.
I can't imagine Rob ever carving.
Oh, I've done this a million times. But if you make them too small, it can just get messed up.
Right.
I mean, give us a tip on how to do it well.
So start with your marker and the left eye, the right eye,
Okay.
both the same. You guys are going to work on these guys. And just
Come on, Toddy, let's
start
start
drawing it out.
Wait, are we going to
Draw
start
it
the
out.
clock right now?
We can draw it now. Yeah,
Draw it on it
Okay.
right now.
We can draw it out right
and
now.
you guys are going to be doing what we call a through cut, and that way you get a lot of light coming through with strong illustration with the
Right.
the features.
See, I've learned
this
that
is
you
a
gotta do
partial
these
cut.
things.
You guys are going to do a full one.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to use a Dremel tool when I do a partial cut.
Okay, so actually, we are going to
he's got a nice thing.
going to do a pumpkin carve off between these gentlemen right here. Get the clock started. Put 1 minute on the clock, and we're going to see who could do a better job given their instructions.
It's gonna be him because he's
One whole minute. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Let's go. All right.
All right.
I know if we go into Schmitty's
Todd is
apartment,
taking a very aggressive approach.
we're gonna see like thousands of
Rob, a
pumpkins
little more methodical in his delivery.
from Halloween's
We've
past.
both chosen triangle shapes.
I gotta tell you, after looking at many artists over the country working for us,
Yes.
if you guys, something goes wrong in this industry, we might just take you guys on.
There you go.
At Betty
See?
Katz
There we
Productions.
have
I mean,
it.
I think it's inevitable that something's
Rob
gonna
is
go
going
wrong.
a little bit faster.
I'm gonna have to. I only got
Oh
a
my
minute.
God. Todd, I'm going to stand over here because you're scaring me.
It's a little dangerous over here in Pumpkin.
We are literally playing with knives. Okay?
Come on.
We have 17 seconds on the clock. All
And
right,
these have to
15.
forever.
Yes.
These are forever pumpkins.
Oh, and we will keep them forever, I am sure. Todd, don't hurt yourself.
All your hard efforts will
Rob, much
be
calmer.
long-lasting.
Okay, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow! Okay, let's see.
Nice job, Todd.
Rob,
heck of a pumpkin,
Rob's
Schmitty.
is perfect. That is so adorable.
Let's light them up.
Mine
Todd's
looks
not bad either.
Mine looks drunk.
All right, let's see what they look like with the light on.
All right, put them on here.
Huh? Maybe I actually won one. I always lose these
If
competitions.
I were to judge, I would say I'd give it to Rob.
Yeah, I
They're
give it to
good.
Schmitty too.
Look at that.
Thank you guys so much for teaching us how to do it. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
So happy to be here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
Ooh, look at that.
Ooh, look at that. Gorgeous.
Mine's getting a head start on the weekend. It's drunk.
Todd's looked like it
still
was.
on.
We'll be right back.
Are we still on TV? Okay.
And Janine Pirro and Diamond and Silk are going to be joining us live. Plus, nothing says fall fun like getting out some power tools and carving up some pumpkins. It's that time of year again when we show you how to take pumpkins and, as you can see right there, power tools and make cool faces on your jack-o'-lanterns. So,
And make a huge mess.
Rob was really
gigantic.
good at carving the pumpkins. Just a couple
I
minutes ago.
can't wait
I
to
learned
see
saw
something
it.
new.
I can't wait to see Steve
Forever
carve one up. I bet
impressed
he's a pro. He's got a lot of experience. There you go.
All right, Steve, thanks. We'll see you in a little bit.
you bet.
Impeachment uproar as Democrats plan more closed-door depositions without Republicans. How will the GOP fire back? Andy Diggs and Mark Meadows react on Justice with Judge Janine.
Welcome back. The Trump campaign defending Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump after 60 Minutes released this interview with Joe Biden.
If I'm president, get elected president, my children are not going to have offices in the White House.
You don't think Jared Kushner should be negotiating a Middle East peace solution?
No, I don't. What credential does he bring to that?
Well, Ivanka and Jared are both senior advisors, and the Trump campaign responding saying Joe Biden is correct.
Or added coupons. I go to SnipSnap right when I'm about to hit the checkout stand. I look up the store that I'm in and I see if there are additional coupons. Now, for example, if you're at Macy's and you do a whole bunch of these coupons to the checkout person, what they usually will do is sit there and either tolerate scanning all of these to see what may work, or oftentimes, better tip, the clerk will reach into the drawer and say, here, I've got one that's better than anything you'll find online. And you're like, I just made a good deal there. So those are some really great tips to keep in mind for the holiday season.
Kurt, thank you. Happy Halloween. Have a good Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year while we're at it. Thank you. We appreciate you saving us some money.
Happy Easter, Kurt.
Yeah.
53 minutes after the hour, a ban on clapping